And then let me share my screen. Awesome. All right. So welcome. I am Ryan Holger with Excelsior and TEC. I handle the training department here. We're going to go through a bunch of different stuff today, kind of just peppering you with different ways that you can learn about new things and old things for that matter. So we'll talk about training in our live classrooms and labs. We'll talk about online training that you can do both through us and through the factory. And we'll talk about some of the video series that we have available to you on YouTube that you can watch on demand. So all that stuff we're going to kind of cover. It's going to be more of a guided tutorial on where to find all these things. So it's kind of weird. It's a training webinar about training, so it's kind of odd. But in any case, where life would begin in this discussion, if you go to the website excelsiorhvac.com, that's our main website, and you click on the training tab, you can either, if you hover above it, you can pick whichever one you want, or in my case, I'm going to click on it and then it'll actually bring up all of them. So that brings up our training tab, and then there's 3 places you can drive to from here. There's online training, classroom training, and YouTube videos. Now, online training and YouTube videos are both online, obviously, but the difference between these is the YouTube videos are typically short, 5, 10, 15-minute little topics on like, how do I program this Ecobee thermostat kind of thing, versus the online training is typically, 1 hour or maybe even, 1.5 hour recorded sessions that we've done in the past. So something like we're doing right now today, I'm recording it and I'll eventually post it on here. So if somebody wants to watch it later, they can. So stuff like that, except it won't be, a training video about training. It'll be a training video about whatever, refrigerants, a training video about indoor air quality or something like that. So if I was to click on that, I'm going to open it in a different window so I can keep everything separate here. It'll link us over to this page here, which is kind of an old school looking page. But as you can see, there's just, thousands of, not thousands, hundreds of recorded sessions on here. And it shows you the price of all of them. And nearly every single one of them is free. There's like 2 or 3 of them on here that have a cost, like right there. And that's because somebody else is hosting it, not us. So that's just kind of the way that goes. But most of them, the ones we've done ourselves, those are all free. We want everybody to know how these things work and how to use them. It goes in reverse order. So the newest thing coming up is first. So there's just some recorded stuff. But coming up in, 2 days, there's a webinar on chilled beams and induction beams. This one here actually happened a couple days ago. And once the recording is posted, it'll look more like these down here. So if you wanted to go watch our webinar previously on changes coming up with efficiency requirements and refrigerants, you could click on that and it would bring you to a registration page for that specifically. Right? You can read the description to see if it's what you want, register for it, and then immediately begin watching the video like 1 minute later. So you can do that. And that's an hour-long topic in this particular case. So you can do that for any one of these. Just click on it and it's going to ask you for some really basic info on what it is. Sometimes it's weird, like this one here wasn't us that did it, so they had a password, so I wrote the password on here so you could find it. But usually it's us, and you just click on it. IEQ in commercial buildings, click on it, read the description. Yeah, that's what I want to learn about. Yep, sounds right. Name, email, city, company, hit register. That's it. Super easy. And then it'll open up and you'll be able to view it right from your computer. You should be able to do any of these from a computer. Some of them are not as smooth on a phone to watch because things are really tiny and small and stuff like that. So usually you're going to want to watch it from a computer, a larger screen if you can, or from your phone and push it up to your TV through Apple TV or something like that. So that is the online training that's listed on here. The classroom training, when we click on that and open it, that one here brings you to our site here. For TEC and Excelsior training. And there's a couple different ways you can navigate that. One way is to use the search field here. If you're looking for something specific, right, you can do that. Like if you're like, hey, I really want to go to a class that's hosted at the Lansing facility, right? Because I don't want to do anything far up north because I live down on the south side or whatever. So I can type in Lansing and hit search, and it'll bring up anything that has the word Lansing in it. So in this case, there's a duct class coming up at the end of the month in Lansing. There's a rooftop class, an AC class. They're all on there. And then if I see something I like, hey, I really want to go to this rooftop class, I can open up that, click on it. I'll just do it regular. Click on it, and it brings up a description of what that class is, yada, yada, yada. Read the description. Yes, it does or does not sound like what I want to attend. For each one of these in the title, it tells you the name of the class. It tells you if it qualifies for any type of CEUs. So most of you guys on this webinar being ICP dealers, you're looking for ones that say NATE or ones that say Elite, depending on what kind of dealer you are. The Carrier Bryant guys need FAD. FAD and Elite are kind of like similar things. So you're looking for one or the other. Sometimes it'll also list if it's BPI certified or PDHs for engineers and different things like that. But in any case, title of the class, what CEUs apply, and what town the class is in, because you don't want to sign up for one in Lansing if you happen to be in Milwaukee. That would be not awesome. I mean, you could do it. You're welcome to come. And sometimes people do that because the topic is of super interest. But usually you're trying to find one relatively close. Now, it just tells you that there's these hours available here. There's only so many, characters that fit in this description. But if you scroll down to the bottom of any description, it'll tell you exactly what it qualifies for. So in this case, it qualifies for 4 NATE hours for the tech and for either FAD or Elite Distributor hours for the dealer, for the company. So if you need those kind of hours, it'll qualify for it. If you need Elite hours, when you register your employee for this class or yourself, obviously the name of the company is one of the fields you fill out, and then we just manage that. So we see, oh, it's Jenny's Heating, and they're an Elite distributor or Elite dealer. They need Elite distributor hours, and we go ahead and apply for those hours at the end of each month on your behalf. You don't need to do anything. If you're a technician and you need NATE hours, the only thing you have to do then is when you fill out the registration form here, you got to put your NATE number in, because we will need that NATE number when we report the hours over to NATE. So we report the hours at the end of each month for NATE as well. So if you attended a class today on March 14th, then sometime the first week of April, we would send in all the rosters of our March classes to NATE, and then it would show up on your NATE account. If you're ever in a situation where I need my NATE expires next week, I need these things reported, you just got to tell us, and we will submit the roster earlier than we normally do, because we want you to have that all taken care of. So I mentioned NATE and Elite hours. So I'm going to briefly take a little side tour on that just so you understand what's required, because most of you guys watching this or watching the recording later are ICP Elite dealers. So if you're in the program book from TEC Excelsior for our ICP dealers, and you go to the training section, which happens to be page 22 and 23, and you scroll down over here, it tells you, I'll blow it up so you guys can see. It tells you specifically what the requirements are for Elite training. So if it's your first year in the program, you have a choice. There's 3 ways to comply with the required training. You can either come to 12 distributor classes. Now, that's the kind of class we're looking at over here, right? Elite distributor classes. Not every class that TEC Excelsior teaches is an Elite distributor class. For example, if we teach a class on Honeywell, which we do, Honeywell is not going to count towards your Heil certification, right? It's got to be something that's either industry generic or Heil specific, right? So there are classes you'll find that are not. Most of them are. So if we go back here to any ones I have, not okay. All the ones I picked happen to be. But I'll show you one that's not, just for argument's sake. So let's see if I can find one that's not qualified. So this one here. This one is qualified for NATE and FAD hours, but not Elite hours, because it's a carrier-specific class, which has nothing to do with Heil. This one here is a class for teenagers, so it has no renewal hours associated with it, because it's not meant for current HVAC technicians to learn more. It's meant for introducing kids to HVAC as an industry. So it's got to be ones that say that Elite distributor training hours on there. So you can do those, or you can do the factory hours, which I'll show you how to do those in a little bit. Or if half of your technicians are NATE certified, you're covered that way. So if you have 4 technicians and 2 of them have a NATE certification, you're good. If only one of them has a certification, either another one needs to get certified, or you need to go one of these 2 paths. If it's your second year in the Elite program, right, so you've already done this first year and you complied, and now it's the next year, you still need to do the same thing each year. So the clock starts over again, right? Now I need 12 new hours of training. If you want, there's actually an incremental rebate program that's associated with ICP dealers where you basically get money back essentially. And if you want to qualify for that, which you probably do, because why would you not want to get a rebate? You need to do the stuff that's listed here, 12 or 50% of your techs, plus you need to do 16 hours of factory training. So what normally would happen in this situation is you would do 12 hours of distributor training with us at our lab, and then you would do the 16 hours of factory training, either if we happen to host a factory on-site class, which we sometimes do, although with COVID it's been not so much, or you can do them on the website, which I'll show you how to use in a minute here. So you do both of those scenarios. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. So I had searched this a minute ago by Lansing town, which you can certainly do. You can also search by topic if you wanted to do, I don't know what else we have coming up. I don't know, my brain just totally melted right now. I don't know what else I want to search. Let's say it's a class that has something to do with ducts, right? So in this case, I'm probably gonna get duct classes and duct lists because I just wrote the word duct. But so here's a class for residential duct systems. If you want to learn more about sizing those systems and testing those systems, we have this class right here. And you click on it, and well, in this case, it's full, so you wouldn't be able to click on it. But this one down here is not full. Right, this one's in Lansing, full. This one's in North Aurora, not full yet. So it brings up classes with duct in the name first, and then it brings up things that are similar, in this case, ductless. If there is a class that's full, you want to take a certain class, a certain location, and you click on that class that says it's full. Instead of allowing you to register on the left-hand side over here, it says add to waitlist. If you're interested in that, please click on that and add yourself to the waitlist. It doesn't cost anything. You just click on it and say your name and all that stuff. The reason you want to do that is A, if somebody cancels, I will contact you and say, hey, there's a spot open, right? We got an extra seat. B, if nobody cancels, but I see there's 5, 6, 7, 8 people on the wait list, then I'm going to try to find a way to schedule another one of those classes if there's, more time, in the season to do that. And then when I do schedule it again, the day I schedule it, an hour or less later, I am going to send an email to whoever's on the wait list and say, hey, you were on a wait list for such and such class. We just added another one. Here's the link. If you are still interested, please go ahead and click on it and sign up. So you basically get first dibs. But if people don't sign up for a wait list on a class, I don't know there's demand for that topic. And hence I don't know to contact you when we add another one. So please use that waitlist function. If you're signing up for a class that's not on a wait list, let me go back to where I was, right? So that one's full. This one won't be full, right? So I'll click on that one. Everything looks the same description, but instead of add to wait list, it says register. So you click on register. In my case, it's going to look a little bit different because I'm logged in as an admin. But in your case, it would ask you to log in if you weren't logged in. And if you're new and you've never logged in, it would ask you to create a login. Very similar to any other website that you use, like your Dunkin' Donuts app or whatever it is. You got to create an account, right? And then once you have an account, you just always log into that account, and you can do it that way. When you do register for the class, it's basic info. It's going to ask you for, name, company, that kind of stuff, email, phone number. If you're logged in, or once you've logged in the first time, that stuff will be in your account. You won't have to retype it in. And then you will pay for it with either a credit card or a debit card. That's the only mechanisms for payment. A couple of years back, we used to do everything through our ordering system. So the same system you would order a furnace or a thermostat on, you'd pay for with a class. But it just wasn't working out from an accounting standpoint, trying to pretend that training was a physical part number that we were going to ship to you and trying to figure out how to bill you for that. It doesn't fit. So this system's separate, has nothing to do with Excelsior. It's its own system. You just pay for a class and move on. Sometimes the classes are, in fact, where am I going here? Classes that are free, but usually there's a small fee associated with them to pay for the class and the venue and the donuts and all that kind of stuff. So I searched for a class that way. You can also search for something by a specific type of credit. If you're looking, I only want classes that are NATE, you can click on that and get just NATE classes. Or if you click browse all classes, you see everything, and it'll be in chronological order. Right, some classes are expensive because this class is an 8-week class, so it's got a fairly high cost associated with it. But most of them are really inexpensive. They're $50, $60, $95 are the three main dollar amounts I think that you'll see on here. This is a cool one. There's no cost for this. but it's not for you. Don't sign yourself up. This is for signing up youth, right? So if you got someone 13 to say 19 years old, so a teenager, right? The target is really kind of sophomores and juniors in high school, but we've had 8th graders in there that are 13. We've got a couple kids who graduated last year that are 19. It's fine. It's a 1-day class. I've done it a few times this winter already. We got a couple more coming up over spring break, which this one is during most school spring break. And it's just to introduce the kids to the industry. So it's a little bit of discussion, and then we'll go in the furnace and go through components, go in the lab and go through components on a furnace. And then we'll also do some brazing with them. So kind of the fun things, take something apart, put it back together, see if it still fires. And then brazing, where you can play the torch, obviously is super fun. And then, there's decades for them to learn all the boring stuff like reading a wiring diagram. But we want to show them the fun stuff as best we can. So that's available. That one happens to be full, but there is one of the 3 that still had a couple spots left coming up here. But you can see most of these costs are pretty easy to work with. Once in a while, you see one like this. All right, and instead of having the ability to click on there, there's a separate link you would go to. And that's because this is not a class that we teach. This is a class that is run by an organization that is subsidized by some of the utilities and stuff like that. So it's a combustion safety class. We happen to let them use our building. We want them to, be able to have our dealers attend. But if you click on that link separately, I would take you to their registration site. So in their case, they use Eventbrite, but it works the same way. You fill out the fields and register. That's actually in our lab there. They were doing a demo that day. We took a picture, or they took a picture. All right, so hopefully that makes sense on the hands-on classes. The venues that have labs, Lansing, Melrose, and North Aurora, and then now, more recently, South Bend. Those are the more fun classes to go to because we have labs, but we do classes in some of the other locations as well that don't have labs yet, but I someday hope to have that. That's online. That was classroom. The last one on here is YouTube. If you open up that, you probably know how to use YouTube already. And obviously you can drive on here from a phone very easily through the YouTube app, or you can do it from a web browser like we're doing right now. For those that aren't super familiar, there's multiple ways to use YouTube. You can obviously just search stuff. But in this case, if you go to our site and you want to find something that we have specifically, the 2 ways you probably are going to drive is either clicking on videos or playlists. If you go to videos, there's a lot there. There's like 200 videos. So it's a lot of stuff. YouTube puts things in reverse chronological order. So the more recent stuff right here was a video on heat pump, using the op cost calculator for heat pumps for high-L and day and night type systems. Right, the one before that was adding wireless sensors to an ion zoning system. Right, and you notice it says Infinity Evolution Ion because from a service standpoint, it works the same way. So it's just one video. So most of them are like that on here. The other thing you could do is go to playlists on YouTube. And in that case, we have things grouped by topic, right? So if you wanted to, usually I just click all created playlists and see everything. And you can kind of look for a specific topic. Oh, I want to learn about ducts. Okay, boom, right there. Okay, I want to do some business online stuff. Boom, Ecobee thermostats. I want to learn about how motors work on furnaces, right? Boilers and hydronics, ion controls. You just click on that. It brings up all the videos associated with whatever you clicked on. Real B&H customer. And after a short 4-second commercial, it has all the videos kind of listed there in the order that I think you should watch them. You can skip around obviously, but that's how I have it set up. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Online, classroom, and YouTube videos. Obviously with the YouTube videos, they're short, easy, simple, but there's no like continuing education associated with them. You don't get any NATE hours or anything like that. The last thing you might want to do is you might want to at some point go to the My Learning Center. So it's mlctraining.com, My Learning Center. And this is only for factory dealers specifically. So we have a lot of customers that just do stuff with us and they install some rooftops every year and that kind of thing, or buy a boiler or some parts. Just a regular HVAC contractor. Then we obviously have our ICP dealers, high-L and day and night dealers. This is for you guys specifically. So you can log in on here, right? And eventually you're going to do that. And when you try to register for class, it's going to force you to log in. That way it can track your hours because if you recall, those factory hours are something that you can get you rebates. So you have to be able to, illustrate that, or they have to be able to find that. And then when you're driving on here, there's two real ways to find classes you want to attend. You can click on courses, and you can just see all the courses that are listed alphabetically, right? And there's 9 pages with 10 each. There's 90 classes on here. I can go to 30 per page and make it a little bit more manageable. All right, so now there's 3 pages of 30, and it lists them all there, tells you the title, tells you how much it costs to attend. Sometimes it's a little bit more expensive because it's more involved, 5-hour class hosted by who knows, or sometimes it's really simple, inexpensive class. And it tells you how long the classes are, and then if it's going to earn factory hours. That's these hours right here that we're talking about. You can also search by other stuff, like if you want ones that are only going to get you NATE hours, you can click on that, and it'll filter down to just NATE classes. Hopefully there's some going on right now. Right, so these ones will get you NATE hours. Right, so now it tells you over here, NATE credit available. The other thing you could do is you could search by topic. You could type something in. So I don't know what you want to type in, but let's say it's customer service. I don't know. Type that in, and it'll bring up anything that has customer service in the title. Right, so we got 6, 7 classes that have that on there. So that's one way to find classes. You could also click on learning paths instead of courses. And what that'll do for you, instead of giving you just a bunch of list of classes, it's more like, hey, I have a certain employee in my building, and in between things being busy, I want him or her to log in and do a half an hour class here and there. And what classes should they take? Instead of them filtering through 90 classes, they can go down a prescribed path. So if this is your customer service, rep person that's on the phones at your office, which, obviously that person's doing 12 different jobs, not just customer service. They're also doing invoicing and everything else. But in any case, if that's the kind of thing you want them learning about, they click on customer service. You can see there's 15 classes in this case, and they're in the order that it's kind of recommended that they take them. So class number 1, 2, 3, 4, right? They can either take them one at a time on here, put them in their shopping cart, or they can go the whole path and just do all 15 over the course of X amount of months, or however fast you want them to do it. Right? If you got somebody who's a little bit new to management, maybe you've had 3, 4 techs, and now you promoted somebody to be the service manager because you're going to bulk up to 4, 5, 6 techs. This might be a good path for that manager to take because they're learning how to deal with people, which they may not have done in the past very much. There's technician classes on here, sales consultants. Maybe you get big enough that you want to have a dedicated comfort advisor. They're going to take the sales consultant path and learn about that stuff. Maybe your new employees, you want them doing safety training, right? So there's all these different paths you can take them down. What is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 different paths you can take them down. The last one on here, which I just opened up, is this interplay one. That is a course series for using virtual reality, headset. So if you want to have them doing that, if you have virtual reality headset, obviously you need that. Or if they have one at home for online gaming and they want to take, do classes on the weekend at their house or whatever, it's kind of cool. You can physically get in the furnace and, see what's going on, move wires, put your meter on certain spots. It's pretty cool. I can't really show it to you here because it doesn't 3D over a web broadcast doesn't really work. So it's not, that interesting here, but if you ever get a chance to see one live, it's pretty cool. All right, I'm getting towards my time allotment here. Let me real quick look at the question box. So I don't see anybody who typed a question in. You can either type a question in and I'll try to answer it on the fly, or you can do that little hand raise button thing and they'll tell me that you want to speak and I will unmute you and you can verbally ask me anything that you want. I can't believe I talked for 24 minutes on how to navigate training. It's not even an actual training class. It's just a webinar about training classes. I don't see any questions coming in, so I assume that means I am actually awesome and I explained everything so perfectly, there's nothing for you to ask. That's how my brain works. So online classes, classroom, and YouTube stuff. The 2 sites you want to remember, ExcelsiorHVAC.com. And then the other one that you would want to remember, did I close it? I might have closed it. Oh, there you go. MLCtraining.com. And when you get the follow-up webinar from attending this today, I will include those 2 links in the email. So you can click on it if you want to go. So you'll be able to click on either one of those 2 links, or you'll be able to watch the recording from today if you wanted to. So since there's no questions, I'm going to go ahead.
Ryan.
Yes.
Ryan, I do have one question.
Absolutely.
If a dealer takes a training class with you, with TEC, NEC, and it does count for hours, whether they're factory distributor, how is that? Do you guys take care of that as far as getting that to the NEC, or do we have to worry about doing that? How does that work?
Nope, you don't have to do anything. So if anyone who's an elite dealer logs into one of these classes, well, not the teenage one, but one of the ones that says it has hours associated, like this one here, duck class for elite hours, you log into that class and we take attendance. We're required to do that. And we take attendance. You show up on our attendance report internally. And at the end of the month, we report that over to the factory. And as you log into this My Learning Center, it'll start showing up on there as a thing you've taken. So you don't need to do anything else other than have your company name on your registration so we know where you work. And we just scan that list. There's 20 people on there, and 5 of them are elite dealers. We take those 5 and we report those to the factory for you, so you don't need to do anything. So your company name is all you need to do when you take those classes. And if you want NATE hours, you have to also add your NATE number, and we'll report those hours on your behalf so you don't have to do anything.
Okay, thank you, Ryan.
Absolutely.
One thing that I did want to add for our NEC program dealers, obviously training is required if you are an elite dealer with the factory. So we do offer co-op monies available to all of our dealers, and they go as follows. So if you take any classes with TEC and Ryan, they are co-opted at 50-50. If there's a charge for them, which obviously most of the classes, as he showed you, were free of charge unless they actually did have factory hours available to you. And if you take any classes on My Learning Center and get charged, and you are a program dealer with NEC, then those are covered at 100%, up to $500. So you can take up to $500 in My Learning Center. And as long as you send me the invoice, those are covered at 100%. And any classes you take with Ryan, if you have earned your co-op, you can earn 50% co-op back on those. So just keep that in mind when you're doing your training. Ryan offers really great classes. But so does My Learning Center. And it's super nice, Ryan, that you've offered the availability for them to kind of do them almost any time, to go back and look at them by having them all online. So thank you.
Cool. Any other questions or comments? All right. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and log off. Thank you guys for your time. We'll see you at the afternoon sessions.
Thank you.